However, once Aiwarin walked away, Mevika couldn't help but glance at the tall figure, about 170 centimeters, dressed in a brown suit that matched the color of the coffee she ordered. The appearance was striking, and Mevika wasn't sure which part of her stunning figure or her face was more admired, as both were known to be captivating. The reason Mevika thought that way was because she knew her well. Of course, she knew her. Aiwarin was a well-known figure in the business world. She was the heiress of a famous national hotel chain. Her father was a businessman, owning hotels known for luxurious management that attracted tourists and wealthy clients, seeking top-tier beauty and wellness services. Some of her father's hotels even included bars in the hotel chain. It could be said that she was the daughter of a national tycoon, while Mevika herself was also from a wealthy family, though not as well known. Mevika had recently completed her master's degree and had been working for a year in her father's department store business. She mostly worked behind the scenes, without making much of an appearance in the business media, aside from her social circles where she was known. In comparison, her fame couldn't match the other woman's at all. Aiwarin had been helping her father manage the hotel business for 7 years, before she had graduated from university. There was a time when she studied for a master's degree for 2 years. However, Aiwarin had been learning to manage the family business seriously since her 2nd year of university, which gave her a much longer period to gather practical experience. In the 3 years since her return to Thailand, her family pushed her to be in the media and expand her social circle, presenting her as a new generation businesswoman with expertise. This quickly made her famous, not just for her skills, but also for the elegant and radiant image she projected. It was the first time she had seen Aiwarin in person, standing right in front of her, within clear eye contact. Not only did she get to see her up close, but Aiwarin also smiled at her. Yet she didn't respond with any expression, other than to stare back indifferently. There was no need to be friendly. She knew it wasn't possible. Soon enough, the two of them would probably end up as business rivals. "Hello, what would you like to order?"
Outside, a wide canopy made of mirrored glass provided shade for the media and guests standing around listening to the press conference. The glass above reflected the movement of the guests below, creating a complex visual effect. She had intended to escape the bustle but felt uncomfortable looking up at the cluster of people reflected on the ceiling's glass. Mevika fanned her neck with her hand to cool off from the heat of the morning sun, then decided to walk into the air-conditioned lobby. But her father, who was standing nearby, called out to her. "Me, where are you going?" "Wait for the group photo." "Do I have to?" Mevika hesitated, noticing her father's silent but commanding gaze, signaling for her to comply without further discussion, especially with so many important guests around. At that moment, the president of the event had finished his speech, so she reluctantly stepped forward and stood quietly until the formal opening ceremony was over. The prominent guests who had expressed interest in the auction were then invited to join for the group photo. Mevika stepped to stand beside her father. She was almost positioned directly in the center next to the president of the ceremony, but her father deliberately made sure she appeared prominently in the photograph. The arrangement of standing positions for the photo caused some minor crowding. On her left, she was brushing against someone she hadn't even looked at because her gaze was fixed on the many cameras surrounding them. The familiar scent of perfume reached her nose, and she realized she hadn't worn that particular fragrance today. It must belong to the person beside her. That made her turn to see who she was standing next to. At that moment, the person standing at the far right kept inching closer, and her father had to push her toward the person beside her. In that same instant, she turned to face him.